Good morning. Um, I haven't been posting a lot. I haven't been dedicated or disciplined to do videos, but in the past 2 weeks, I was telling you about my dog, the old girl. She's having a hard time. Well, last Thursday, I had to put her down because she's just getting too old, and I couldn't take her anywhere without her falling, or I guess I battle with that because she's been with us for so long. You know how an animal is like. You try so hard to like maintain them and try to give them a good life and stuff like that, and you think, am I doing the right thing by doing this? So the decision was made, and I just went ahead and just did it. I took her to the vet, made an appointment, and just decided to just have her go leave this world peacefully. So she did. And now I have my other dog, Grayson, and he knows, and he's been kind of depressed for the last couple of days. And when I tell you it's really hard to like, to really let go of an animal and then try to make the right decisions for them. And it what really, I guess, shocks me in some ways is that we do this to animals, but I don't know. It's just a weird feeling and a weird thought just to realize that you can end an animal's life in that way, a good animal, and not see it to the end, like like us humans. We have our way of leaving and exiting this earth, and I don't know, it just makes it a little bit tougher to realize that when it comes to your animal. Now I have one dog, which he's probably going to be going with his mama, my daughter, when she leaves, when she moves out, and then she gets stabilized and stuff like that in her life. And it depends if she's going to take him or not, or she's going to say, Mom, can you take care of him? And then he'll have to stay with me. But so that's where trying to just really monitor him and love him extra, and let him know that it's okay, and that we talk to him and tell him that Sasha is gone, and I'm so sorry that she's gone, and as days go by, it's getting better without her. The routine of it all, opening the door, listening to her scratches at the door, wanting in, and now there's kind of like silence when it comes to trying to get used to and carry on and stuff. So, and it kind of reminds me of my mother when she left us. We were there when she left, and just to see her exit and be completely out of this world, it's a routine that you have to get used to. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a human or if it's an animal. The routine of it all, having that person, or that, I guess, a mammal, around you, and then have that mammal just completely leave and not be there the next day or that evening. And it's a shock, and it's sad, and what the thing is that the life goes on, it just carries on, and the memory of that special mammal in your life, leaving and not returning is like, okay, I'm gonna see you, and then, you know, when I leave this earth, I will see you then, and when I exit and stuff. So, but I know he's okay. She's okay. She's fine. She's probably entered, you know, into heaven with our other dogs and running around up there, and then seeing my mom and seeing, you know, a friend of mine. We were talking yesterday because I was like, I just am so, it's so hard to like get used to it. So it was just to an animal owner perspective, and she ended the conversation as she is, she entered heaven, and she probably was welcomed by you know, her dog and our dear friend Reva. And I said, yeah, you're right. And my mother, my mom, and Daisy. We had another family pet, and my boyfriend had mentioned that, you know, she's probably happy because she's with your mother and all the rest of the other pets that, you know, maybe she knew. So anyways, and then I just spilled that out because it's like something that I never really experienced as far as a pet owner is like, I've had pets where I had to give them away, which I didn't see them out to when they exit this earth. But when I had Sasha, I actually saved her from going to the animal shelter. She has posted on a Facebook, and I saw a picture of her, and she had some wounds on her, bandages and stuff, and I guess she had some stitches because the other dogs that this person was keeping her safe and housed for a little bit, she was getting attacked and bullied by these other dogs. So I went and I just like, you know what, I'll just go ahead and visit and see what it feels like. And then if, you know, because at that time I was like, I don't want a dog, I don't need a dog, and I just have a cat, and I'm a cat person, and I've always believed that I'm a cat person. And then when I went over to see her, she just took to me right away. It was like, all right, well, you know, I will take her. I don't want her to go to the animal shelter. I will house her for a little bit and see where I can go with her on this. So I took her with me, and that was back in 2017. At that time, she was like 9 years old, because that's what the guy had told me, that the last owners had said that she's 9 years old. And I was like, okay. So I went ahead and took her, and she came home, and she just made herself at home. Like it was just automatic. She was at home. And I was like, dear God, no, I don't want this, because that was a lot of responsibility, because the dog is a lot of responsibility. So I went ahead and just took her, and my kids at that time, they were small. They would go summers to go see my family and spend time with them, and so they would spend that extra, you know, time and, you know, during the summers, because their fathers weren't a part of they're not part of their lives, but so my family members would take them for the summer. So I went ahead and just kept that, and I told my daughter about Sasha, and I told her, I said, this is the dog that I kind of saved, and just keeping her for a little bit, and then we're gonna find somebody who's gonna take her. She didn't want that. She was like, no, I want to keep her, and just, you know, I can't wait to get home. And once she came home, and she totally fell in love with her, and she treated her like she was the princess, and she's the mother, and she's going to take care of her baby. So, and I couldn't take that away from my little girl, so I just let her. I was like, okay, fine, you can have the baby, we can keep, and when I found out about being a dog owner, it's been such a long time since I was a dog owner, because I had, like years ago, I had a 2 babies Eleanor and Red was their names. Such wonderful dogs. And I don't know why it didn't bother me that the hair situation of dogs didn't bother me. I don't know if they were dogs that I didn't realize that they had hair, but Sasha had hair like you wouldn't believe. It just would, every time she laid somewhere. My other dog Grayson is that way. Every time he lays around, there's hair everywhere. So that was the one thing that I had to get used to. And I was thinking to myself, I don't remember if Red or Eleanor ever had that kind of issue or problem. And I guess maybe I just loved them so much that I didn't realize it. And the older I get, the more particular and grumpier I get. So Sasha's hair was just all over the place, and it was just like constant, just sweeping and cleaning and vacuuming and stuff like that. And I told my friend, I was like, is your dog like shed? Is there any way to stop this? And her like, no, honey, that's you're a dog owner. That's just the way it is. And I'm like, great. So anyways, I just dealt with it. And there was times where I just would, on edge, especially when I hadn't, I always say this, especially when I had my uterus and I had my menstrual cycle, I would get so deliriously just crazy each month and just so mean. And one of the things that I bitched about a lot was Sasha's hair. And I would threaten my daughter, like, I'm gonna take your dog and I'm gonna find another place and I'm getting so sick of that. My daughter reminded me of that, and she said that every time you said that, I would sit with Sasha next to the couch. You know, she would be on the couch laying there next to her, and she'd hold her tight and say, it's okay, Sasha, you're my baby. So anyways, so we just, she was just with us, and I got used to it, and taking her out for walks, stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, there was these other dogs that came into our lives, and they came and went because they weren't such a good fit. They weren't a good fit for us and Sasha. And then we went and got Grayson, who was a puppy at that time. And automatically she took to him as, like, I think maybe she had puppies at one time, but she took to him. And then they grew up together. Grayson grew up with her. And I guess it was kind of like a motherly kind of feeling. And so, and as she got older and stuff, she got slower. And he would try to play with her and all this other stuff and that. And I noticed that she would just get so grumpy, and she couldn't move too much, she couldn't jump too much like she used to. And it was like, okay, she's getting old. We're going to have to calm Grayson down and make sure that, she's going to be okay. So, anyways, this last bit of 4 years, when we had Grayson, because Grayson is 4 years old, we got him I think in May, because he was born in March. And so, we finally got him 4 years ago in May. And then that's when she was, and it's so ironic that at this time he was just a puppy, and he wasn't ready to be taken home, and then she passed away. And then a month, I guess I'm just like thinking of things like she passed away on April 23rd, 2025, and I was there, and I held her little paw, and I brushed her, and I looked at her, and I think she was confused. I still have it in my head. And just seeing the confusion in her, because she was dementia, and she loved us. She had the love. And then just seeing that, laying with her on the floor. And then she had the treats, like we can't give dogs chocolates, but this last time she had chocolates. she was licking my hand and everything, and the whole time I'm just laying with her. And then they come in and they give her a sedative and she's resting and she's just laying there, and I just held her and then all of a sudden they came in and said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to see her exit." So when they did that and the process and stuff, and I just laid there and held her and told her I was sorry. I was so sorry. I'm so sorry that I had to do this to you. Oh my gosh, it was just so hard to just realize that, oh my gosh, there's a dove that just flew off. Anyways, maybe that's Sasha. Anyways, oh, she used to bark right in the middle of I'm telling you, she used to bark at the geese that would fly over. Every year the geese would fly over and she would just bark and scream at them whenever she was outside. It was so cute. Anyways, the doctor was like, "Oh, I'm gonna listen to her heart." And then right then, that's when she says she's gone, and I'm like, "What? Really? She left already?" And she said, "Yeah." And I couldn't believe it because it was like she was just sleeping. She just looked like she was just sleeping, and I was like, "This is weird because she looks like she's still sleeping." And she says, I know, honey." And they were so great. They were so understanding and so loving. And I just cried and just held her and told her, I said, "I love you so much, and we will miss you and stuff." So it was such a beautiful thing to have her in our life and then see her just leave. And for me, I guess I just think about my mom and how she left, and I was there when she left, and then now I see my dog, and I was there when she left. It was like they were both peaceful, and it was nice. I was thankful at that moment. I was thanking God. I was thanking Jesus for this animal that was in our lives. And that I told him, I said, "Just forgive me if I didn't take extra 100% care of her, or I didn't love her 100% more, because I know that she loved us unconditionally." Because dogs do, they love us so much. We don't even have to try. They just look at us and say, "I love you." And they look at us like we hung the moon, because that's how dogs are. They're so, I don't know why the Lord created dogs, but they're the best gift that God could ever create, is a dog, to love us, to show us that we are worthy, that we are worthy. And I think that's the reason why dogs are in our lives, is to show us that we are worthy. And those who don't treat them accordingly, they are confused and don't understand why I love you, even though you abuse me, I still love you. But once they see somebody who loves them so much or is around them so much, they know, they love you so much. My daughter, we had a hard time, and then my neighbor had a hard time because she would take care of Sasha, and when I told her, I said, I have to take her. And so my neighbor came over, and she took pictures of her and talked to her, and then she came over that night and she said, "I'm so sorry," and I was like, "It's okay." And so she asked me, she said, "Can you tell me about it?" And I said, "Sure." So I told her, and my daughter was sitting there and she was crying, and then I showed them a picture, because I took a picture of her before and after, and I told them, I said, peaceful, like she's sleeping. And then when I was about to leave, I was just like, she's gonna get up and go home with me. Like I could see her get up and then get all excited and want to come home. And then I had to leave her behind. But I took an impression of her paw for me. I got a little vial of hair off of her. And then I made the decision for them to take her to the crematory, which I had to pay extra for. I didn't want her ashes because I don't want to keep her in a box. And I told them, I said, so I want her, because we have orchard fields, orchard, apple, and peach, you know, places here. And just like ashes, you know, ashes, beauty to ashes, you know, and it's a good creation. So I thought, you know, what a beautiful thing. I'm going to have her ashes just spread out into these orchard fields. Like she's going to be just, you know, running around with the other dogs who are spread out in the orchard as well. And she's going to be happy. She's going to be free. She's not going to be in a box. And to me, that made me happy that she's free. And she's going to be in, you know, in the trees, or she's going to be planted. She's going to be used for fertilizer, for something, for a creation that is going to be, you know, growing. And so I thought that was a really great idea. So I don't want to keep her in a box. I just want her collar. I want her paw impression, and then I didn't ask for the vial. They just gave it to me. And that was it. Anyways, that's the story of my Sasha and the decisions that I had to make for a 17-year-old, for an older dog. And it was so hard. If I, you know, the thought of having somebody or another mammal in my life besides, but you know, Grayson, he's really not mine. And I'm still looking for my Red and my Eleanor, and now I'm looking for my Sasha. And I think, you know, what I really think is that dogs, when they pass on, when they leave their life, they're always in constant search of you. Like their spirit will search for you again. And maybe if I was a good enough mother or a good enough, you know, pet owner, that maybe she'll come back. She'll search for me when I'm on my own, when my kids leave. Maybe she'll search for me again, and then she'll want me in her life. And then once I realize that, I am going to take 100% extra care of her. Anyways, I'm out here and people are passing by watching me cry and talk. You get I'm crazy, but anyways, I just wanted to, you know, chime in again. I know I only make videos once in a great while, but it's been a hard 2 weeks, 3 weeks and stuff, and I just found out the vultures are not a threat. From the last video that I posted, I was like freaking out because of these, you know, these vultures and stuff, and they're just there. Just don't shoot them because they stink. They stink to high heaven. If you shoot them, they will. You know, that's what my boyfriend was saying. You don't ever shoot a vulture because they stink to high heaven. It's like, okay, don't worry, I won't do that. Anyways, have a good Sunday. It's a Sunday, and have a good Sunday. Have a good beginning rest of the week tomorrow. I'm not sure when I'm going to be making another video, but I will chime in again later. Bye.